Hi guys, quick note about this video. I made it for TikTok and I've just spent the last hour trying to upload it on there, and it was kicked off the app every time, and it would say that a draft was saved and there was no draft saved. I have literally never seen this happen before in all my time of creating, so you must know this message is important. And in addition to the video I have here on the Bezos wedding, I'm including my original video on how older women are the prize at the end because they are really trying to suppress this knowledge. Subscribe for more. It seems like every video on this app is criticizing Jeff Bezos' wedding, and not for the reason you think. I don't think people hate him that much or want to criticize billionaires that much, because if they did, one wouldn't be the president. And it's not just ordinary people criticizing him. It is media outlets. And I think it's because this wedding, this pairing, does not reify hierarchy. Lauren Sanchez is older. She is, a two-time baby mama. This wedding does not engender competition between women. This wedding does not make women think, I'm running out of time, I better grab the first prospect I can. This wedding proves to women more than anything that all of these standards ordinary men claim to have are fake. It's a myth. You can get married after 40, after 50. And not to just any old scrub, but to a quote unquote high value man. But I've been saying this for years. A lot of people commented on an old post I did this week because they thought they had some kind of gotcha moment with this wedding. They heard me open the video with this. There is no doubt in my mind that Jeff Bezos gave Lauren Sanchez a shut-up ring. He's never going to marry this woman. I made that video back in 2023 and they thought they were having some sort of gotcha moment. Oh, see, he married her. But you didn't listen to the video all the way through, nor did you watch the other video I did first about their relationship, where I said two key things. He gave her a massive rock. Here's the figurehead of Bezos' $500 million yacht. It's Lauren. He definitely is entranced by her. I don't think he can do without her. Who knows who's finally going to be victorious? Don't forget, Michelle Yeoh was engaged to her billionaire for 19 years before he finally gave in and married her this year. Even when I gave my opinion that it was a shut-up ring, I always left room for the possibility that Jeff would marry her because older women are positioned to marry the best. That was the start of my first video about them. You ever notice how it's mostly broke, uneducated men telling women that they're going to expire at 25? Who are some of the wealthiest men in the world with all the options going after? Here's Jeff Bezos, literally the wealthiest man on earth, and his fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, who's 53. I want to be clear. I hate Bezos as much as the next person, eat the rich and all that drama. But in my opinion, people are not attacking this wedding because they hate billionaires so much or because they actually care about the carbon footprint or the money being wasted. Like I said, if that were the case, a billionaire wouldn't be the president. People would actually boycott Amazon instead of talking about boycotting Amazon. They wouldn't be watching the NBA, NFL. They wouldn't have consumed all of these recent tours like Taylor Swift's, another billionaires with a massive carbon footprint. No, they want to talk down because this interrupts the narrative that older women are undesirable, that women are on a clock biologically, that they have to rush to get married early. People don't want the knowledge out there that the men that other men lift up as the most desirable ones in the world, the so-called high value men, don't care about all that BS. Youth, body count, purity, all that other nonsense they are inculcating into this incel class. Men who actually have careers and money couldn't care less. This woman has 2 baby daddies, was going with one of his best friends. Her brother sold his text messages to her and his nudes to the tabloids, and he still married her. There are always valid criticisms to be made of Bezos, boilerplate. But what we care about is the lesson for women. And here's the lesson for women. If a man wants you, nothing you can do can make him not want you. If he's serious about being with you, he's going to be with you regardless. And don't believe the hype, because it's not about fulfilling a certain checklist. It's not about a look. It's not about an age. Because if what the manosphere pushes is true, he would be out here with a string of 20-year-old girls, not a woman in her 50s. And this is why so many people are invested in criticizing the relationship, because there's plenty to criticize in so many billionaires' relationships. That other famous guy, he doesn't have a wife, he has a hostage. The 2 divorce proceedings before this are littered with allegations of abuse, with medical records and witnesses to support them. But last year, I didn't see headline after headline about that. I didn't see every newspaper in the world talking about that. And when other celebrities have married in multi-country, multi-day, lavish ceremonies abroad, especially in spaces where neither of the people is from. Typically, there's nothing but praise. Vogue covers it and everybody oohs and coos, like with Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas. I said that was a shut up ring. I was right about that, by the way. And everybody else was like, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. It was so beautiful. And nobody had any criticism to make about the carbon footprint, about the cost. And truth be told, the distinction would have been better applied to the royal wedding of William and Kate. Because whatever we think about how unjustly Bezos got his money, it is his, whereas that is state money that they were spending. And honestly, out of the two dresses, this one looks better. But that wedding was heavily pushed. That was called a fairy tale because it reifies the kind of hierarchy men want you to buy into. A woman shedding her identity entirely, being subsumed by a man, the right kind of woman, young, white, impressionable. She had put up with a whole ton from William. After being called Weighty Katie in the tabloids, living with him for years, enduring breakup after breakup, him cheating on her plenty of times, she finally got the ring and we're supposed to smile and say, what a fairy tale. That's the kind of marriage they want to groom you for. That's the kind of relationship they want to normalize for you. In this relationship, who's doing the bending? It's Bezos. It's the man. It's the billionaire. He would do anything for this woman. And I noted that back in my 2023 video where I said it was a shut up ring he gave her. I said he got her in with the Kardashians. He's moving her in the circle she is so desperate to be in. He's giving her the life of her dreams. And he's changing to suit her taste. People have mocked him now, the guy who was always in black or white t-shirts, wearing the Gucci shirts and changing up his style. The man who has never been socially a blip on the radar, buying out a city to host a wedding because that's what she wanted. She's driving that train, and men do not want you to see a woman having that kind of power in the relationship. Think about the fact that this is mainstream media's hill to die on. This is what he's getting criticized for, this wedding. Not the fact that when he took over Whole Foods, he cut health insurance for all their employees. Not the pollution and waste his supercomputers produce. Not the destruction of mom and pop bookstores and businesses, not the destruction of whole cities Amazon has wrought. This is what every newspaper in the world is critiquing him on. Why? Think about it. It's the marriage they have a problem with, not the wedding. It's what it represents. Because they could criticize this man on not paying taxes, on the danger he has placed Amazon warehouse employees in, the deaths and whatnot perpetuated by this company, the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest perpetuated by this company. Anything they could criticize him on. But this is where you've seen the most mainstream criticism ever in one weekend. I need you all to think not just about what's being said, but who's saying it and how they stand to benefit from what they're saying. Because these media outlets are constantly selling you, a woman, a problem. They're telling you there's scarcity everywhere in the relationship market. And if you want to get married, you have to jump through 10,000 hoops. They're selling you a problem so they can sell you a solution. And they don't want you to see on the front page of the paper a woman who doesn't have any of those things has now married one of the wealthiest men in the world. Because then how are they going to fearmonger? How are they going to tell you now that you are 40, 50? There's no one out there for you. You should settle. Stay in that abusive marriage. You're not going to do better. This might give you ideas, so they have to put it down. That's it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Older women are positioned to marry the best, if that's what they want to do. But they're either going to marry very, very well, or they're going to marry very poorly. Women who don't have scarcity mentality, women who don't believe that they lose value as they get older, women who know what they have going on intrinsically are positioned to do the best when they don't absorb society's messages about how they're worthless. But women who are fearful, women who absorb all that negative media, that toxic stuff, that every year you age, you should drop a standard, or that women are more likely to die in a plane crash or terrorist attack than they are to get married after a certain age, both completely debunked, by the way. But if you believe that as the gospel truth, you are likely to put yourself in grave danger. Like the poor woman in Dirty John, like the woman out there in Baltimore who was unalived by her husband, a broke bum she married who then unalived her for her money and said a homeless man did it. Like the countless older women who are taken advantage of in love scams every year. What you believe will govern your behavior, and it will govern your outcomes. And so they want to fill you up with fear with these kinds of headlines and make anything positive when it comes to older women being able to marry who they choose seem like a negative. So these industries can benefit from you being fearful and playing yourself down. Don't fall for it. You ever notice how it's mostly broke, uneducated men telling women that they're going to expire at 25? Who are some of the wealthiest men in the world with all the options going after? Here's Jeff Bezos, literally the wealthiest man on earth, and his fiancee, Lauren Sanchez, who's 53. Now, I don't approve of or celebrate adultery, and I think this is shut up ring. If you want a video on that, we'll talk. But even after her brother sold him out to the tabloids using Lauren's access, he still proposed to her with a huge diamond, and he's funding her lifestyle. He can't do without her, an older woman. Financier Gwen Adams was 48 when she married billionaire Peter Norton of Norton Security, the virus protection thing on your computer. Glenn Close was 59 when she married billionaire David Shaw. And yes, I know she's a celebrity, but that's rather the point. He didn't pick some 25-year-old starlet. He wanted a woman who was at the top of her game. Even the women who are celebrities in their own right who marry billionaires tend to do it post 40, like Selma Hayek. She's married to Francois Henry Pinault, who's worth $40 billion, and he married her when she was after 40. But if you want non-celebrities to look to, Dr. Dambisa Moyo was 50 years old when she married Jared Smith, Qualtrics billionaire. While she has a PhD in economics and wrote Dead Aid and several other economic treatises, she's a giant in her field, but she's no celebrity. But what did he want? A highly accomplished woman. Apparently, he met her because he was following her career. Read her books, loved what she had to say about the economy. So these bottom feeders who tell you, oh, don't be too smart, men won't like that, they don't know what the devil they're talking about. Same with Melody Hobson, who's married to billionaire George Lucas. I seriously doubt anyone outside of her field knew her before she married him. But it's the access she had through her career that led her to meet her husband. Melody met George when she was managing his business portfolio at Ariel Investments. Gwen Adams met Peter Norton at a conference. It is a statistical fact that people marry who's in proximity to them and people who they most closely align with when it comes to their background and values. You're not going to enter some of these rooms until you're in your late 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. So don't dim your light. Broke, uneducated men tell you that if you get too educated or make too much, you're going to have a hard time finding a husband. That's a complete lie. You're going to be in line to get a much better quality husband if you have a better resume. And I wanted to highlight this phenomenon because it's different than men who married their partner at the beginning of their journey, like Jeff Bezos with his first wife, Mackenzie Scott, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. They married women who were the same age as them, back in the day. But of course, the men themselves were young at the time. It's fascinating that these men who are single now and have basically the earth to choose from are choosing educated women who are age appropriate. The broke men don't want you to realize the more successful you become, the more of a prize you are on the marriage market because they themselves want access to you and they're not going to get it if you realize your worth. So if marriage is something you want, we all know marriage is the prize, blah, 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 boilerplate. But if marriage is something you want to a high quality partner, just work on yourself and do not settle. I know it's crunch time. But go look at the video I made on this subject yesterday and look at the comments. I got like 500 or something. And so many of them are women saying that they are older and they are now getting married, getting engaged to wonderful partners. But they had to go through a period where their families were really trying to push them to settle. And they're so glad that they didn't. Hold on, ladies. Better is coming. Like and follow for more. And if you want more on this topic, repost, comment, and share.